Here's, every week we do this.
We're muted. Yes, there
Yes,
we
there you
go.
go.
Uh,
Hi.
hello, 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 hello. We're still figuring out the whole StreamYard thing. I mean, we're less than 20 shows in doing it, and it mutes us when our countdown happens, and we have to manually unmute ourselves.
That
And
was my fault this time. I said I was going to unmute you and I hit one button and it didn't take care of you. So I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Apologies.
I'm used to being left
Muted.
out, ignored. Um, so I am Kevin Ross Emery, and this is the Kevin Ross Emery Show with
Ashley Olstein.
no, it's you this way.
Yeah, the other way today.
Backwards. Yeah, I have to go. I have to go.
I'm
So,
your left-hand man.
oh, well, it's better than a no hand man. What can I say?
Fair enough.
So, this has been something that I would expect would happen during a Mercury retrograde, which is everything that could slide to the left, slide to the right, and do the hokey pokey for this particular show. And our guest for this particular show has happened. So we originally had a guest, and the guest had to our first original guest, which was booked a month and a half ago, had something come up and gave us like a 2-week notice, 2 weeks that they weren't going to make it. And so then we figured out that next week we're not going to have this international traveler. I think she should just do her own travel column, right?
I can.
Travel with Ashley. There you go.
Yeah, I'm making up for lost time.
And so we're like,
You're not going to say where I'm going?
That's up to you if you want to say where you're going. You see, you're going now. You see, last time you were in Portugal, and now you're going to Iceland.
Correct. Yep.
See?
Yep.
I pay attention. What is it called? The green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feed upon, as Shakespeare says. All of these places. Well, I'm sitting here in my basement now because we had to break down my office to get ready to rip my roof off so that we can get a functional roof over my kitchen and my office area in my house and put away forever the buckets that have to catch all the leaks that have been coming through.
Yeah, those popcorn buckets have come in quite handy.
No.
Mm-hmm.
The holes have gotten bigger and they've turned into catering buckets, that you bus tables with.
Oh, yeah. Oy.
So, yeah, we have those now. I mean, a popcorn bucket ain't going to do much. Popcorn buckets have gotten so small at the movie theater. We'll give you 2, and it still won't be as much popcorn as we used to give you in 1. Right? It's all a scam. So this is a very busy season for our original guest, who is going to try to make it later in the year. I'm not mentioning any names, but she let us know. And then we figured you're in Iceland on the 20th, and I'm actually speaking on a panel for the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Nashua Chamber of Commerce in Nashua, New Hampshire, on public speaking and networking. And so they asked me to be on this panel. And I had asked Rain. Okay, you remember Rain? No,
I do. I wasn't here. That she came and visit when I was in Portugal.
Well, Rain thought she might be able to co-host, and then I was going to push her to go ahead and just be host because I suddenly had this commitment.
Oh.
And then I was like, you know what? I can't do that to her because we're using a whole different system and she doesn't know any of the technology, and I can't do that to her. So I said, you know what? we'll either pre-tape a show, which we have the option to do, to pre-tape a show and have it released. So you and I need to talk about whether we want to do that or not.
Okay.
Or if we're just going to skip next week and see how many people miss us. It better be a lot. Because, you know, in my old format, I could say, you know, put on a replay next week.
Right.
And I'm not sure, we might actually still be able to do a replay. You know, we're figuring out all this technology. So,
Story of my life.
So then I thought, well, we did have a guest scheduled for the 20th. Let's see if the guest on the 20th can do the 13th. So our office goddess, who, I mean, the station for the show, the person who like coordinates the guest and all of that stuff and things like that, reached out. They weren't getting back. And then we had another guest that we were trying to book down the road who suddenly, you know, popped up and said, well, I can do the 13th. But by that point, I had asked tonight's guest to do the 13th because this other guest said they would do it and then went dark, and we didn't get any information from them. We couldn't promote them. We couldn't get on them. And so it was like, okay, so tonight's guest, I asked last week, and, you know, he took a couple of anxiety pills, got over his shy nature, and said, yeah, you're in a bind. I'll help you out. I'll come and be my fabulous self. But all the promotional stuff had already gone out, so we're not even listed as having a guest. And then at 2:47 this afternoon, the guest said, well, where's my link for tonight? It's like, you get us promo information. We like to promote. So now they're going to get booked for it. So do you see what I'm saying? This
It's been one of those days.
It was, I mean, this particular show, I think, lives in infamy. Like, it is the star child for Mercury and Kaka, and Mercury's not even in Kaka right now.
Maybe because it's the date is the 13th. Who knows? Some people think that's an unlucky number. I don't. I think it's a good number.
Nah, 13's a good number.
It is. It adds up to 4. I like it.
So we are going to bring our guest on in a minute, but I wanted to see, besides being a world traveler, what else is going on in your life, Miss Ashley?
Well, you know, I tuned in to last week's show as I was stuck in traffic. And you guys were talking about the astrology, and I had the fortune of you still giving some forecast to my birth chart. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I made a couple of notes that I wanted to bring back up. So it was funny because this past week I have definitely been in conflict, and I had forgotten about what you'd mentioned on the show until you and I spoke on Tuesday, and you reminded me, and I was like, oh, okay. It seems like everything was coming to a head all at one time. Everything was coming at me. And so I had a conflict with the 6th and the 8th house, with Venus squaring with Saturn. And so I feel like I was living it out. So, but my question for you is this: if I had remembered this ahead of time, how could I have strategized or approached all of this better? Because it took up a lot of my bandwidth. I still am in the midst of it, where I feel like everybody wants a little piece of me, and I don't know where, like, what fire to put out first. And so then I just want to curl up and go back to bed.
So I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to bring in tonight's guest because I'm doing the astrology, and tonight's guest is my normal first of the month co-host. And I'm going to see, because he had some stuff coming up for the week. And so we're going to see if he ever thought about, oh, yeah, I was kind of sort of warned this was going to be happening, because he had a little conflictual stuff going on as well, which are just opportunities. But why don't we go ahead? And we're not bringing him on to be my buddy, a political pundit, knower of all things in world and local and state and U.S. politics. Tonight, we're going to be talking about what he does in his other job. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's go ahead and first of all bring Matt to the stage. Whoa, Matt Connerton, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Ashley?
I'm good. Good to
Good.
see you.
Good to see you.
Actually met?
No.
Well, we've
Not
met on
yet.
the show, but not in person.
Are you in New Hampshire as well?
I am. Yep. I'm in Manchester.
Oh, Manch. Okay.
Yep.
Manch.
Manch Vegas. Well, I think Nashua has more casinos than Manchester does.
You have casinos in Nashua now?
Oh God, yes. We've
Oh.
got 1, 2, 3. I think a fourth one is opening in the old Sears building in the Pheasant Lane Mall, which is going to be like,
Wow.
it's the size of Sears casino, which is
It's big for New Hampshire.
You can walk over the line from Massachusetts to go gamble. Because it's
No, we have gambling too. We have a couple of casinos, or one. I don't gamble, so
Yeah, me neither.
yeah, I like to keep my money.
So, as we prattle, rattle, and talk in circles, I'll tell you my casino story. Because why not? Have you either one ever been to a casino?
Yes.
I've been inside a casino. I've never gambled in one, but I've walked through one.
I have gambled.
Slots,
blackjack.
Did you find it difficult to breathe when you walked through the casino, Matt? Because they're usually smoky and hazy and toxic to humanity.
I don't remember. No, I just remember this was years ago. I was at Mohegan Sun for a concert. And after the show, my friend Dan, whom you've met, Dr. Kevin, I don't know if you remember Dan Randlett. But after the show, he and I walked through the casino just because I'd never been in one and was curious. We just kind of walked through it.
So I always said, so the first time I actually gambled in a casino, I was traveling with my father. We were doing a vacation together. I was 27, 28 years old. And Papa loved casinos. And we went to go to this. He wanted me to go to the casino with him. We were on a boat. We were on a cruise ship. He wanted me to go to the casino with him. And I walked around the casino and I watched him. And he says, "Aren't you going to play?" And I said, No. We have several ports. I have better things to do with my money than play in a casino. And he's like, "Well, it's no fun if you don't do it." So he gave me $100 and said, "I gave you this money and it's for you to play so you can have the experience." I said, "Okay, it's your money. I'll do it." So I went and I did the slots, and I about $20 in. No, wait a second. I lied. He gave me $20. He didn't give me $100. So I'm like playing a dollar coin thing and I'm doing it. And I won a couple bucks and I set it aside, and I won a couple of bucks, set it aside. Then I won a $500 jackpot. And I grabbed it and I played the rest that he gave me. And then I went back over and, and I said, "I'm done." And he goes, "Okay, how'd you do?" And I was like, "I won about $550. And he was like, "Okay. And you stopped playing?" I said, "Absolutely. I'm going shopping in Key West. That's our first stop." And he's like, "Well, can I have my 20 back?" And I said, "No, you gave it to me. You told me it was mine to go." So that was my first casino story. So back to it. So did you ever think, even for 15 seconds, Matt, about anything I told you about your astrology last week, and if it played out, or did it just go in one ear and out the other?
I may have given it 11 or 12 seconds. No, I'll be honest with you, Dr. Kevin. I don't remember what you remember what you told me last week, to be really honest with you.
Well, you can always go to the Facebook page and watch it if you'd like to boost your memory. But I wouldn't.
I mean, my brain is very busy, so you put things into my brain, and then all this other stuff comes into my brain and kind of pushed out what you put into it. You see,
Play-Doh.
Yeah. So to answer Ashley's question and then talk about this week's astrology, which is very brief, but I've got things for both of you, is that when we conceive that there is going to be two parts of our mind at war, and we know ahead of time, because a square means that one part of you is fighting with another part of you. Venus was fighting with Saturn. Saturn was like, buckle down, be structured, be disciplined. And Venus is like, oh, wouldn't it be a lovely day to like sit in the garden and read a book and be surrounded by beauty and maybe, have scantily clothed boys come and pour me water and peel me grapes. And, Venus is, very, I mean, Venus is about beauty, harmony, values, but there's, she's got a little bit of a hedonistic nature.
Scantily clad boys and everything. Yeah.
Well, it's Venus. So anyways, so that means you're going to have that, and you're going to be going back and forth, that every time you're doing one thing, the other thing is calling you and going, no, wrong answer. You need to be over here. No, wrong answer. And so with where it hit you, Ashley, it was really going to be about you letting go of old things that were holding you back and allowing yourself to move forward. But your call of service and the places you felt obligated were like, well, that's fine someday, but today's not the day. Get back to work. And so the way to kind of handle that is to actually step back and say, how important is it for me to move forward? And can I actually utilize the discipline energy to help me move forward, but not fall into the habit of doing what I've always done in discipline and work? And so you kind of apply the planets, the signs, and the houses when you are looking at these things to, kind of see what's going on. And part of it was I wanted to be doing some really like planning, gathering information, kind of figuring out where I'm going, what's next for me, how can I make the changes in my life I want to make. But then there was the very practical, it's time to make the donuts. It's time to make the donuts. You don't have time for this. And so you literally take the time and you say, I know I'm going to have both urges, but I can step back and create a game plan that can give both of them a little bit of what they want, but I'm overseeing where I want to end up at the end of it. Does that make sense?
Sure does. It totally makes sense.
Yep.
Would have been better to know about 4 days ago, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
if I were here last week.
You were there. If you were here last week, you would have heard it. Of course, if you'd been here with Matt last week, Matt might have rubbed off on you and you would have forgotten it anyways as soon as the show was over.
I suffer from that as well. The Play-Doh game just goes right out.
Yep. But we do have this week that starting today and all for the rest of the week, the energy of the Sun and Mercury are going to be conjunct in Gemini. And in that conjunction, it's going to be, the whole conjunction is going to be in your 10th house, Matt, which means it's a time when there's going to be a lot of energy and clarity about things that you really want to communicate and questions you want to ask and data you want to get. And you want to do it because you're looking at, is there ways you can change your career, how you're seen, how you're out in the world. You may be wanting to fine tune. You may be wanting to make a shift. It doesn't tell me whether this is just fine tuning what you have or actually shifting into a new and improved version of yourself that has a different balance structure. But for you, there's going to be a lot of, because it's a conjunction. Conjunctions support each other. It means the sun gives Mercury more energy. Mercury gives the sun more energy. And so the question for you this week, Matt, not that you're going to remember, is kind of a question of who is the Matt I want to be going forward, and how do I make that Matt happen? And you're going to be in search of like information or ways to do that, to make shifts. So does at least the sentence make sense to you, Matt? I know you're not a big astro.
It does. I'm particularly, though, taken with the phrase 10th house, because it makes it sound like I'm extremely rich,
Oh,
or that I'm a successful real estate agent. I'm already on my 10th house.
it means you are rich with capacity and potential.
Oh.
Will you actualize it?
Oh.
You know, you can own a little country that has a ton of resources that could make you billions of dollars, but if you don't dig them out, polish them up, and sell them, it makes you jack.
Is there anything with using astrology you can tell me about my allergies, and will the pollen ever stop making my face look puffy?
October.
October, huh? That's unfortunate, because that's a few months away. Yeah, the pollen's really bad right now, by the way. I do want to take a moment and just apologize for my appearance, because as I'm looking at myself on the video, as you can see, the pollen and my allergies have made my face very puffy, to the point that I look like I just did 3 rails of cocaine, but I feel like I just drank a gallon of NyQuil. So I'm sorry about all of that.
I feel your pain.
Mm-hmm.
So do I.
Yeah, it's bad.
You'll see me continue to reach for the box of tissue.
Yes.
So
I had an allergy attack last night that lasted an hour and a half of just sneezing and blowing my nose. And I'm not even exaggerating. It was 90 minutes straight of sneezing and blowing my nose and sneezing and blowing my nose. Good times.
Did you ever think of changing it up and blowing your nose and then sneezing, just for something different?
I actually did that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I would sneeze twice and then blow my nose. Sometimes I would sneeze once, but then blow my nose twice. Oh, I was a wild man, just trying all kinds of stuff.
Since you're on NyQuil, don't forget you can hook us into your network too, which is we talk about what you do and how people can purchase you. Would probably be helpful.
I did share it out. Yes.
Okay, it's not showing up on my thing that you did. That's why I didn't think that you had.
I did it right through Facebook instead of clicking that link, because last week when I clicked that link in StreamYard, it took me out of the feed for a minute, and then I had to come back in. It was weird. So instead I just shared it out on Facebook so that wouldn't happen.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if Ashley could do that, because if she did it through Facebook, then we're not doing it through StreamYard.
Yeah.
So after the show, maybe you can teach Ashley how you actually did that.
All I did is I just went to the Dr. Kevin Show page, found the feed, and just clicked share, and just shared it out on Facebook like you would share anything else.
Oh.
Yeah. That's all.
We should try that sometime for you, Ash, because Ashley and I are both hosts. She cannot share it out like a guest does, because we both have host codes. We have a limit to number of places we can share it through StreamYard. It's how StreamYard is set up.
Yeah, yeah.
If I wanted to go for 10 places, 10 social media feeds, I'd have to pay more money than I pay.
Oh.
But if you're just clicking it through the Dr. Kevin Show and sharing, and that's so simple, and I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
You know.
I just shared it.
There you go.
Work?
Yay.
Yay. Hey, so for you, Ashley, this thing starts in your 9th house. So you're out there in your 9th house, kind of questioning things like philosophies, higher education. I mean, we've talked a lot the last few times about the 9th house for you.
Right. Yeah.
With this conjunction Mercury on the 17th of June, it goes into your 10th house. So all of that stuff that you were doing of kind of checking these things like higher education and travel and stuff like this make a shift into more focus on how do I bring what I've learned into establishing a new version of myself out in the world, my career from like a career perspective, a reputation. It's talking about your reputation, Ashley. Woo, woo.
Fantastic.
So that's the astrology. Very simple. We'll see. Oh, on the 19th, Mercury moves into Cancer. And when Mercury is in Cancer, it's definitely more of an emotionally based communication. And it's either talking about your feelings or engaging and wanting to understand other people's feelings. And, because Cancer is water, and it's cardinal water, which means it starts stuff, it moves things. When there is Cancer in Mercury, depending on where it falls in your houses, it can easily talk about you could be changing some of the ways that you are communicating in your relationships. Now, I am going to mention, Matt, all of this stuff goes over your Saturn and Moon. I'm not going to go into that in depth because you don't pay attention anyways. So if it was Ashley, I'd spend a little more time on it because I know she takes notes and actually pays attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a note taker by nature.
We just took note of that.
Yeah.
That's not a note taker.
Yeah.
And most of the time that Mercury is going to stay in your 10th house, which for Ashley, that Mercury, when it moves into Cancer, is going to be in your 10th house. So it's a good time for you to, speak your emotions, speak your truth emotionally, and look at maybe some new beginnings in relationships. And because it's in your 10th house, it could be relationships with clients, it could be relationships with students, it doesn't necessarily indicate personal relationships.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, Matt, we had you on to talk about what you do when you're not being Matt Connerton Unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I sneeze.
You sneeze. Okay. And you
I guess that's not the only thing, but yeah.
So mattconnerton.com. So do you want me to tell the world what you do? Do you want me to expose you, or do you want to expose yourself?
I'm curious. Well, now, if I expose myself, I might end up on some sort of list or directory that would be bad. So if you would like to expose me, and then that'll be a good jumping off point.
So I don't know how long, because I think you have been doing this ever since I first met you.
Actually, it is 20 years this year that I've been a certified hypnotherapist. 2004 was when I got my certification.
Yep. And I don't remember what year I met you, but it was right around 2004.
It was probably around, close, maybe 05 or 06. We met. Do you remember where we met?
On the Norm show.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Norm, may he rest in peace. So, yeah, because ever since I've known you, you have been a certified hypnotherapist. And in fact, you did a live mini hypnosis. I almost said a hippo session. Not to be confused with liposuction.
I'm not certified for that. No.
Okay. So what made you want to become a hypnotherapist? What was the original goal? Mm-hmm. And you've been doing it for 20 years now, and yet that's not what a lot of people know you as.
Yeah. Well, like so many people, and it's funny, I don't know if you know Dr. Bethany Bilodeau, or she goes by Dr. B. I was on a recording of her podcast last night talking about this. And, she, I won't get into all of what she does, but something that she and I have in common is, and I think this is probably true for a lot of hypnotherapists, is I started out looking for a way to help myself because I was dealing with a lot of social anxiety. Growing up, I was very, very shy. Kind of came out of my shell in high school a little bit, kind of went back in my shell afterward. I'm an introvert by nature. That's how my brain is wired. But I felt that it was holding me back, my shyness, my social anxiety, and I wanted to find ways to kind of break out of that. To be able to live a full life and actually have a social life and have successful relationships. And I'm also a musician. I wanted to be able to get on a stage in front of people and perform and not be terrified of all these things that I wanted to do. So I remembered as I was trying to figure out a way to help myself to do that, I remembered when I was a kid that my mother actually hypnotized me, or it was really more of a guided meditation. She had no formal training, but she had read some books about it, and she had hypnotized me a couple of times one summer, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So there I was, an adult, and I remembered back to that. And I'd been reading a lot of books at the same time that I'd started recalling those memories of my mother doing the guided meditation with me. I was reading books about neuro-linguistic programming, which is, I kind of did it backward because usually you learn about hypnosis and then you start to learn about NLP, which is, of course, kind of a next level of hypnosis techniques. But I kind of did it backwards. I learned about NLP first because I was reading a lot of books that were talking about NLP as a way of using visualization to become who you want to be. So I started learning about that. And then I thought, well, I should start learning about, maybe I can learn to do self-hypnosis and meditate and hypnotize myself to be more of not so much of an introvert, but be able to break out of my shell more and be more social and be able to talk to people. So I did that. I learned self-hypnosis. When friends of mine, when I would tell them about what I'd been doing, I would inevitably get the questions, "Oh, really? Can you hypnotize me? I'm curious about it. Do you know how to hypnotize other people?" So I tried it. I started hypnotizing friends of mine, and turned out I was good at it, and they were impressed. And so I thought, well, I seem to have a knack for this. Maybe I should get my certification. Maybe I should have the training and be able to hypnotize others professionally. So I did. I enrolled in, the National Guild of Hypnotists actually is right in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And I enrolled in a course taught by Cindy Kyle Thomas, who I think she's retired now. But she was offering a course through the Guild at Southern New Hampshire University right here in Manchester, or actually Hooksett. And so I signed up for the course. I went through the training, got my certification, and then I went on to get a bunch of other certifications like hypnobirthing and dealing with basic phobias and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that was 20 years ago, and I've been a certified hypnotherapist ever since. So I hope that wasn't too loquacious, but that's basically how I got here. I started out wanting to help myself, and then began helping others.
So I have two comments, and then I want to see if Ashley has any questions or comments. So the first one is, how big a space do you need to birth a hippo?
An enormous amount of space, Dr. Kevin, because first of all, the hippopotamus, the mother, is huge, and the baby hippo is also quite large. So you need a pretty big room. And of course I need space too to, sit down and do the birthing.
And have the mother watch the watch while the kid's trying to escape.
Actually, we use a Lamaze technique, but we call it hypnobirthing.
So I'm not very knowledgeable about the whole hypnosis world. What is hypnobirthing? Could you explain that to me?
Well, I think Dr. No, actually, we were kidding. So,
No, I didn't know.
No. No, hypnobirthing is a real thing. No, hypnobirthing is when, and I'm not actually. It's a really good question, Ashley. I'm glad that you asked because there are misconceptions about what it is. Hypnobirthing is if a woman is going to be giving birth and wants to,
Oh, literally during birth, you're helping with the pain and all of that stuff.
well, no, I'm not actually there. What it is we do a session beforehand.
Gotcha.
Where I explain to the client, and I kind of take them through the process so that they're able to put themselves into a state of hypnosis and effectively meditate to help mitigate the pain and discomfort that. I've never had a baby, but it sounds like there's a lot to it that's not particularly comfortable. So it's a way to try to reduce pain and reduce the stress. And I'm not. That's the misconception. I'm not actually there, present for the birth. Frankly, I think I'd be horrified at the idea of it. Really. I mean, my God. But I mean, I'm sure it's beautiful and everything. It's life coming into the world, but it sounds harrowing. But no. So I help in the preparation for the event.
Gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
so disappointed. I thought, there's Matt doing the hypnosis, and then when the thing squeezes out, he runs to the other end of the table, catches it like a football, and
the thing
and the thing pops up. Can you tell you're on the show with two men?
Clearly.
Yeah. Large. So I'd probably suffer some sort of horrible injury in the process of that.
You cut out for a minute, but I'm not even sure I want to know what you said.
Last week too.
So I'm glad you explained that. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was something,
or maybe you're just thinking about. Oh yeah,
we're frozen again.
Uh-oh.
You're back.
You're back.
Keep freezing and unfreezing.
Are we freezing and unfreezing to you?
Good.
So
you're freezing and unfreezing a little bit, but hopefully it clears up.
It corrects itself. It did last week. It's so funny because this hasn't happened, Ashley, in our other shows.
No, maybe it's your connection, Matt. And Kevin, you're not freezing from me, just Matt.
No, are you kidding? I mean, it is nice being in the basement though, because it's about 10 to 15 degrees cooler. So, but I'm not freezing. I feel quite tropical. So you're studiously.
You seem to have unfrozen on my end. You're out of sync, but it'll catch up.
Yep, you're out of sync a little bit too. You're doing your impression of a politician. The lips are moving, but another voice is coming out.
Puppet.
So, well, and I find it very interesting because what made you do hypnotherapy is the same thing that makes people oftentimes decide to study psychiatry or to do some other kind of alternative healing. It's that urge to try to figure out yourself or understand yourself or help yourself as that. And, if we're going to look at it from a spiritual perspective, which I think we should every now and then, because it does say spiritual in the tagline, that, you came into this lifetime to be a certified hypnotherapist. So you had to have social anxiety in order to search something out, because you would have gone on and become a musician if the social anxiety hadn't been one of the blocks to you having relationships and stuff like that. So I kind of look at that connection. Does that make sense, Matt?
I think I missed
trying to see.
I think I missed the very beginning of what you were saying because it kind of froze and then unfroze.
Well, that a lot of people study psychiatry
Hmm.
or
My dad,
go,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, to help themselves. Like they're trying to find answers. Or in the alternative world,
yeah,
people learn
Healers.
Reiki or something
yeah,
to heal themselves. So I find that
yeah.
interesting. You don't know much about hypnotherapy, and Matt actually live did hypnobirthing on me, or something. It was a long time ago.
It was a beautiful, beautiful experience
Beautiful.
It was, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
The
bringing you into
thing.
the world.
The
It's
thing.
wonderful.
yes, I birthed a new Kevin.
Well, so that's why I was asking, because in the spiritual world, you could look at it like, so hypnobirthing could be something like processing some inner part of you and moving through it. So I wasn't sure if it was a
Yeah.
literal. That's why I was like, oh, it's literal. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if
Gotcha.
there was some sort of a.
So actually, what other questions do you have? Because I'm knowledgeable, you're the newbie, so you're better to ask questions about like what is hypnotherapy or whatever. I mean, like,
Well, I've been hypnotized actually,
oh,
and
okay. It
I
was just
just
good.
don't know a lot. Like I didn't know what hypnobirthing was, but I have been hypnotized, and I did
Yeah.
work with somebody for a little bit, and it is very much. In fact, here's a good question for you. So, and I don't want to offend with my questions, so if I do, I apologize in advance. But so, what's the nuance
No worries.
between like a guided meditation and a deep meditation and the hypnosis?
Yeah, really, meditation is just another form of hypnosis. But people don't necessarily realize. So when you meditate, it's something where, I mean, it could be guided or you could just be doing it yourself. But
Right.
what people don't necessarily realize is that that's the same thing as self hypnosis. So
Gotcha.
anytime that you're going into an altered state of consciousness where you're really shutting off your conscious mind and using your imagination, which is your subconscious mind or unconscious, depending on, I mean, the terms are really interchangeable. That's a state of hypnosis, but people aren't really used to thinking of it that way. But really, all hypnosis is self hypnosis because, in truth, if I am hypnotizing you, I can't hypnotize you against your will. You're really doing it yourself. So that's actually self hypnosis. I'm just guiding you through the process, but it's really all the same.
That makes sense.
So
All right. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, of course, yeah. No, that was a very good question.
So, Matt, what do you think that people don't really understand or get wrong about hypnosis? What would you like to tell our viewers that might make them think, hey, hypnosis actually might be something I would try?
Well, the single biggest misconception is that hypnosis is some sort of mind control, and that if I hypnotize you, I put you in a trance and turn you into a zombie and make you do humiliating things for my amusement that don't benefit you at all and that you won't even remember. And it's not really like that. The truth is, you're in control the entire time. You can come out of it anytime you want to. I can't make you do anything against your will. I couldn't, for example, I couldn't hypnotize you to go rob a bank and then bring me back all the money. It wouldn't work. In fact, you would probably wake up and be like, whoa, what was that? Or your subconscious mind would just ignore the suggestion because it doesn't apply in that particular instance. So, also, another very common misconception is people will say to me, well, I can't be hypnotized. You couldn't hypnotize me. Well, actually, literally, that is correct if that is your decision, because again, I can't hypnotize you against your will. So when someone says, well, you couldn't hypnotize me, it's like, well, yeah, if you're not going to let me, then you're right. I can't. You have to be willing to go along with it. You have to be willing to sit and listen as I talk you through the process and bring you into a state of hypnosis. But I can't force you. So, in truth, anyone can be hypnotized. I mean, we all go into states of hypnosis thousands of times a day, in fact, and don't even realize it. Anytime that you're An example I like to use is, say you drive the same route to work every day. As you're driving to work, you're probably not thinking, okay, I need to accelerate here, I need to brake here, I need to turn here, I need to do this, I need to do that, because you're probably daydreaming. Your mind is on 1,000 other things that you're thinking about while you're driving. So you're in an altered state of consciousness. The driving part is automatic to you, and you're using your imagination to go wherever it is that you're going. That's actually a state of hypnosis. Or another example is, suppose you're so engrossed in something, maybe you're reading a book or you're watching a movie, and you're so into it and you're so focused on what you're doing. Maybe somebody walks into the room and says your name, and you don't even hear them. You don't even notice them at first, because you're so focused on whatever it is that you've directed your imagination to, a book or a movie or listening to music or whatever. So you become oblivious to the world around you, because the real physical world around you isn't there, because you in your mind, you're somewhere else. That's actually a state of hypnosis. That's a meditative state where you've shut off your conscious mind, and it's your subconscious mind, which is where your imagination is, that is fully engaged. So we go in and out of states of hypnosis thousands of times a day. We just don't notice it or think about it. It's automatic. So what I do, if I'm bringing you into a state of hypnosis, is I'm bringing you into a very, very deep state of hypnosis, where I can then give you a series of beneficial and positive suggestions. And again, we don't call them commands. Some people do. Most people don't anymore, because it's not anything that I can order you to do or command you to do. It's a suggestion, but you're in control. Your subconscious mind has the power to accept or reject anything that I tell you. So they're suggestions, but of course, I'm only going to tell you things that are going to help you. So your subconscious will likely accept all of them, record them, and then they become completely automatic. And you don't have to think about them using the conscious mind, because they're completely automatic in the subconscious mind as you go through your day.
I have a comment and a question, but if you
Sure.
want to go first, Kevin.
Well, the two things. One is, often when I'm helping people do psychic, like psychic development and getting more in touch with their intuitive stuff like this. And when I work with the ADD and ADHD people that I work with, and we're trying to step out of the conflict part of the really busy mind, which we all have a really busy mind to some degree.
Yeah.
And I will, depending on the situation, but a lot of time I'll recommend moving meditation to shut down, to allow things to come forward that your busy mind just kind of like, shut up. I'm making a grocery list. I gotta get, I gotta.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought of that when you were saying that. I'm going to turn it back to you for your question and your comment, Ashley.
Well, you must be psychic, because that's exactly what I was going to comment is, driving in the car. Yay. I know. Driving in the car, and when people are developing, or people that have developed, like I get a lot of messages when I'm driving in the car, because you're just kind of going through the motions.
Yep.
It is like a moving meditation. Same with walking or something like that. If you can just kind of stop thinking about the action and just open up your brain. But a lot of people, when they're developing their psychic abilities, it's that time in the car where they're starting to get these intuitive hits and all of that. So
that's a great way of putting it, Ashley. Moving meditation. I like that. I like that phrase, because that's an excellent way of putting it. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kevin and I were on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
My question for you, so that was my comment. My question for you is, so what is the biggest help that you give to your clients? Like, what do you see the most of? Are people looking for breaking addictions, or okay?
Yeah, quitting smoking is by far, and this is probably true for most hypnotherapists who are sort of generalists who don't necessarily specialize in one thing. Yeah, quitting smoking always has been, probably always will be. I mean, there are a lot fewer smokers than there used to be. Because smoking has become much more of a taboo over the years than it used to be, but there's still a lot of smokers. And yeah, by far.
I'll tell you, their younger generation, vaping is
Yeah.
shocking. How many
And I
people-
get those too. And some people use that to quit smoking too. Some people, they will switch to vaping, which isn't great for you either, according to the research, but probably still far less lethal than smoking is.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And I get those too. I get vapors, but smokers is by far the number one thing. Also, a lot of people come to me for weight loss, insomnia, stress reduction, basic phobias, all that kind of stuff, nail biters, but smoking by far is the number one thing.
Uh-huh.
What was that, Dr. Kevin? Are
He
you all
was
right?
eating his nails and eating.
Oh, yes. Eating your nails.
Oh, and
All right.
smoking. I missed the smoking.
Oh, smoking. Oh, I
He
missed that
blinked.
part. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Dr. Kevin, you have all these bad habits.
It's Groucho right there.
Oh, yeah.
So, so the question I have for you is, can somebody have hypnosis, go through hypnosis? Because, you see these like Las Vegas acts and then they get up on the stage but can putting somebody into hypnosis actually give them permission to lower inhibitions?
Yes. Oh, that's a great question. So I should tell you, I also have a certification in stage hypnosis, and I haven't done a ton of them, but I have done some stage shows over the years. And Dr. Kevin, you put it perfectly about, lowering their inhibitions, because people will ask me when they find out I'm also a stage hypnotist. How does it work? Is it a scam? Is it a setup? What's the deal? Are there people who you have planted in the audience who are going to get up and act like they're hypnotized? And I'm very open about telling people how it works. The trick is there really is no trick, except if I'm on stage and I'm asking for volunteers, because if you see a stage show, this is how most hypnotherapists, or I could just say hypnotist because we don't say stage hypnotherapist, obviously. This is how most stage hypnotists work. They will ask for volunteers to come up. And if I'm asking for volunteers, I'm going to pick the people who seem the most eager to come up on stage. What I'm not going to do is try to be a hero and pick somebody who's sitting there with their arms crossed, like, I don't even want to do this. I think this is stupid. I'm just here to see how stupid this is, right? I'm not going to pick that person, but I am going to pick people who seem genuinely excited to come up. The reason for that is the people who genuinely are excited to come up, they're going to be the most easily suggestible because they actually want to do this. They want to be able to be uninhibited. They want to experience what that's like. They want me to hypnotize them. It's just like I was talking about earlier. It's not mind control. I can't hypnotize you against your will. But if you want to come up and participate, and you genuinely want to, you're putty in my hands. I'm going to be able to easily bring you into a state of hypnosis on that stage in front of everyone, and then get you to do all kinds of silly things because you want to do silly things. So I'm not tricking you into anything. We're going to have fun, but I'm going to take you into that state where you can be uninhibited, and I can suggest all kinds of silly things, or a fun thing to do is have the audience suggest things, yell things out. And everybody has a lot of fun with it. But somebody who doesn't want to do it, who isn't interested in participating and who's just there to watch, I can't do anything with them because they're not going to let me, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
I was a little long-winded, but
no, you were fine.
Okay.
in every adult is a mischievous child that wants to get out and just needs the permission.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. You're right. Absolutely.
So, and the same would be said that if you hypnotize somebody and told them to go rob a bank, if they've always wanted to rob a bank and thought that they could do it, they'd go rob the bank.
Well, that's what I need to do. Is I need to find someone who I suspect might be predisposed to robbing a bank, who also is very generous. And if I can find that individual who is willing to let me hypnotize them, I dare say it could be the perfect crime.
So how does your hypnotizing people, how is that different than when a vampire hypnotizes somebody? I mean, is it the same thing? Is there a different energy to it?
A vampire would probably not be sick in the head enough to want to hypnotize someone to rob a bank for them.
No,
Whereas I am just,
that ill.
I am. But again, it's the pollen.
So here is, because we're going to be running the show out in about 4 minutes. Unlike our regular guest who gets 6:15 to 6:45, you got 6:10 to 7.
I'm honored.
But
Thank
part of that is also because I love to torture you with the astrology.
Yeah.
Is that I'm curious, how often do you still do self-hypnosis for anxiety or depression or any of the other things? I mean, like if high stress, whatever. Are
All the
you
time.
still, so you're constantly, does it ever reach a point where it has a sliding scale of return?
No, but I'll tell you this: what is kind of odd about it, because I'm not, and I say odd because I'm not exactly sure why this is, but there did come a point with it where, because I used to, anyone can learn to put themselves into a state of hypnosis, but I also used to record myself. I would record sessions for myself, including suggestions for things that I wanted to work on. I got to a point where I didn't want to hear my own voice anymore talking to me. It got weird. I don't know why, but it did. So now I only listen to sessions that other people have recorded and put online that I think are helpful to me. I do that all the time. But I did reach a point where I could no longer listen to my own voice trying to hypnotize myself. And I don't know why that is, but it's like I got irritated listening to my own voice, and I could no longer relax that way, hypnotizing myself.
Can you do it silently, like a meditation, like not a guided meditation, but
Yeah.
self-driven?
Oh yeah, I can do that, and anyone can learn to do that. But for me, my favorite thing is to, I'll go on YouTube and I'll find a hypnotist that I like their voice, and I'll see what they have for sessions, and I'll find something that appeals to me that I think is useful.
Nice.
And I'll listen to that. So that's how I've been doing it lately.
Well, I'm going to put up here mattconnerton.com for if anybody wants to learn a little bit more or get hypnotherapized.
Thank you. And you can book a session right through the website. It's very easy.
Perfect.
So, Matt, I'm going to thank you very much. I see you on July 11th because we ain't having a show on July 4th.
No.
Someone's birthday.
America, right? Oh, no, it's Dr. Kevin's birthday.
Captain America.
Matthew.
Right. That too.
Matthew. I haven't called you Matthew in years.
That's true. It has been a while. I don't know if it's been years.
I don't know. It's been at least a year. I think I stopped calling you Matthew when we hit the pandemic. I don't know why, but in my mind, I think I stopped calling you Matthew. Hey, Matthew.
Yeah, to pronounce it that way while wearing a mask is just strange. So yeah, I think that's why.
Okay. So Matt Connerton, I want to say to the listeners who did also enjoy hearing a little bit about the astrology and how it fit into people's lives and how you can use it, that if you don't have your chart done or you don't understand it or you haven't had it updated for a while or whatever, you can reach out to me at kevinrossemery.com. I can send you a link. You can book an astrological update, a full course thing. and even get where the incoming transits are affecting you over the year. So feel free. We do this every week, and there's so much that you could get out of it to have more information with which to make better decisions. If you are looking for Miss Ashley, you would go to solstiveintuitivearts.com, and she has a plethora of services she offers there. And we're getting ready to close down. And so on that note, Matt, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Matt.
Always a great time. I appreciate you having me.
Great to see you.
You too.
All right. And Kevin, I will see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right.
That's right. In 2 weeks, I can't remember who our guest is, and I don't have it up because
hold 1 second. Johanna Derblowski.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have her bio in front of me. I just have her name. Apologies to Johanna, but I look forward to it.
Next week, you may get a pre-recorded show. We may find a way to play an old show, or you may just have to have a week without us. So sad.
Boo-hoo.
Bye.